Monday, and we're back at it. And hope you had an amazing Easter Sunday, Easter weekend, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Nothing more important, nothing bigger in this world, and then to know Him and Him crucified, and then to have the hope that Jesus brings because of the resurrection, that when we die, death is not the end, that this life is temporary, all because of the resurrection. Sins are forgiven, life happens in Jesus. Amen. Well, today's readings, April 18th, Leviticus 22, Psalm 28, 29, Ecclesiastes 5, and 2 Timothy 1. We read a few verses from Ecclesiastes and then finish up our time together in 2 Timothy chapter 1. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 2. Be not rash with your mouth, nor let your heart be hasty to utter a word before God, for God is in heaven, and you are on earth. Therefore let your words be few. It seems like there's sort of a little admonition here about just being careful about how you talk to God, how you blame God or try to lash out at Him. Just recognize He's in heaven and you're on earth, right? Perspective matters. And because of our limited understanding and perspective of so many things, we get a different perception, a different perspective. We get a different conclusion to what's going on in and around us and what's happening to us. And so the call, I think, in Ecclesiastes here, and really biblically, is to have more of a God-centered view in and for our lives. And rather than a me-centered, earth, flesh-centered, to have a God-centered view. Verse 10. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves wealth with his income. This is also vanity. When goods increase, they increase who eat them. What advantage has their owner but to see them with his eyes? He's going to go on about eating and drinking and these kinds of things, but we always think, if I just had a little bit more. And then you get a little bit more, and so you spend a little bit more, and then you need a little bit more. And I think stewardship is something I know I want to work on more. What I have, am I being generous with it? Am I being gracious with it? Not only for my family, but for those outside of my family. So I'm not trying to just build up my nest egg, but I'm thinking of others and thinking of God, how can you use what you have given for reaching out to someone else? And so, good things to think about. 2 Timothy chapter 1, Paul, again, writing to Timothy. He's remembering Timothy's faith, and he says in verse 6, For this reason I might remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God gives a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. So he's talking about his faith, and so you have a rich faith, Timothy, and you have a gift. You have a spiritual gift, and you should be using it. But it seems like fear is holding you back. That could be true for any one of us, right? There's gifts and abilities, spiritual gifts and abilities that God gives, and fear comes in to say, no, you don't have the right, you don't have the education, you don't have the place, you don't have the position, and on and on. What will people, how will they react? They will mock you, they will laugh, whatever the case. And he says, God has given us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And each of those has meaning and purpose, but the gift of God, God's presence in our life, is not about fear, right? 365 times or so, do not be afraid, fear not. But you have the power. Not the power to just do what you want, but the power to use and operate in the gift that God gives to you. But the gifts that God gives, it's love, right? It's for exhortation, for encouragement. It's not so that we get built up, it's so that others get built up in and through the things God uses in our lives. and self-control. We have control over these gifts. And so let's not be afraid. Let's step into and out of fear and into the things God has for us. Till next time, keep growing little by little.